Hey guys, welcome back to Yankee Valley Outdoors. And today's video might be a little bit controversial, but it's time that someone talks about it. I believe the American Chestnut Foundation was founded in 1983. And here we are 40 years later, and there has been no solution to bring back the American chestnut. After 40 years, with having no real breakthroughs, it's time to try something new. It's time to change course. And I want to talk about today why the American Chestnut Foundation is going about this all wrong. The title of the video, The American Chestnut Foundation is Doing It Wrong. Or something along those lines. But here's how the American Chestnut Foundation is doing it wrong. Instead of finding trees that are naturally growing in the wild and just using them, because any tree that is huge and they're in the range of the blight, there's clearly some kind of tolerance there. They're not just living off luck. If they're in the blight range, the blight is on the oak trees, the blight is on other trees, the blight is around. So then people want to act like, oh, you have an American chestnut tree, well, the blight isn't there. No, the blight is around. Like here, like the American chestnut trees we have. We lost one to the blight, but yet the other one has been surviving the blight. So here's what I'm trying to say here, is the American Chestnut Foundation is going about this wrong. They should have, from the beginning, been seeking out surviving American chestnut trees in the woods and breeding those trees to produce offspring that are blight resistant. But instead of doing that, they have been back crossing. And then lately it was them putting all their hope in the GMO American chestnut, which we all had hope in that, but it fell through. The way to save the American chestnut is through natural resistance. And there are many trees out there that are naturally resistant to the blight. Or I wouldn't say resistant, more tolerant to the blight. Like, they're not immune to the blight. Like, no chestnut tree is immune to the blight. You want to act like Chinese are immune to the blight. They're not. Chinese chestnuts can blight. Japanese chestnuts can blight. Just because they have some blight tolerance doesn't mean they're immune to the blight. But like I'm saying, they've went about this all wrong for the past 40 years. And then they're like, oh, and then people might attack me and say, oh, what do you know? They've done all this research and they're like scientists. And it's like, no, I can see it just by going in the woods and seeing these American chestnut trees that everyone's been going about this wrong. They should have been taking surviving trees in the woods. Now, maybe they have been to a certain extent, but their main focus has been on back crossing, which has failed. They still haven't gotten an American chestnut tree that's growing 120 feet tall without turning into a bush. Even a little tiny bit of Chinese chestnut genetics mess up the tree. We don't want Chinese chestnut hybrids. What we want is a pure American chestnut tree. And part of me wants to believe that they have the same goals, but since they are getting government funding, do you really think they want the $2-3 million a year to dry up? If they solve the problem, their money's going to dry up. And that right there is a reason I think they don't really want to solve the problem. They just want to continue to talk about it and have people buy into it. And yet the problem is not being solved. What needs to happen is, honestly, you need to just stop the back crossing program altogether and start focusing on finding every American chestnut tree every healthy American chestnut tree in the wild that's showing some kind of blight tolerance and taking them and breeding them. Now, there's some that are crap genetics. Like, let's say they're growing 6 feet tall and dying. You don't want to breed those. Like the bigger, like girthier ones, like the mature American chestnut trees we have on the channel, those are the ones you want to be continuing their genetic line instead of just letting them die. Or they're like, oh, they'll say, oh, they're just going to blight anyway. No. You don't need to think about it that way. You need to look at the big ones in the wild and use them. Even airdrop some pollen on them with a drone. Do something to preserve to preserve their genetics. If you take the ones that are naturally surviving in the wild and you breed them together, it's not a guarantee. It's like an apple seed. Every seed's gonna be different. But at the same time, there is a potential to bring back the American chestnut with those seeds. So yes, I'm being very harsh on the American Chestnut Foundation right now because thinking at it, it's been 40 years, the clock's been ticking, and nothing significant has really been done. We've had some discoveries, and now we do know that there is a type of virus that can take out the blight. And some believe maybe that's in their orchards. That's why their trees are showing some kind of blight tolerance. That could be the case. And we need to focus more on that virus and on natural resistance. Because I really believe that is the cure to this whole thing. Not back crossing the two trees together. We need to focus on natural resistance. And now I want to talk about Steve Hartman. If you want to look up Steve Hartman, you can find him on YouTube. He has a grove of chestnut trees. And his trees are showing blight tolerance. Okay? And he's done this for like 20 years. And if he, just a regular guy, can do this, millions of dollars could have done this years ago. I asked Steve Hartman, at this point, do you think if they would have taken your approach, would the American chestnut tree be back in the wild? And he said yes. 40 years? If he can get some results in 20 years, you think in 40 years with millions of dollars we could have results? I'm not trying to be too harsh on them, but it feels to me like they don't want the money to dry up. And since they don't want the money to dry up, they want to keep delaying instead of getting to the solution. Because we had the GMO American chestnut, which totally failed, totally bombed. And it's just like they're hitting dead ends, but they're not doing what they need to do. Because there are a lot of naturally surviving American chestnut trees. I've seen more than just the ones on the property we have ours on. It's not like they're not out there. There are mature American chestnut trees out there. And I believe, honestly, if you really look hard enough, any one of my viewers could probably find one if they look hard enough. Because they're out there. There's an estimate that there's only 100 surviving American chestnuts in the wild that are mature. I don't believe that. I believe there's probably more along the lines of hundreds. There could even be, I wouldn't go as far as to say 1,000, but there's definitely a lot of them. And then some people will try to say, no, there's no way, that has to be a hybrid. And it's like, no. A naturally surviving American chestnut can happen. The Chinese chestnut tree started out. Do you think it was always blight resistant? No. Over time, the Chinese chestnut tree picked up resistance to the blight. Do you think it happened over thousands and thousands of years? No, I don't believe it took thousands of years. It could have taken hundreds of years, but it built up a resistance to the blight, just like the American chestnut could have in the past 100 years. The American chestnut's very resilient. Who's to say it's not getting to the point now where it's starting to overcome the blight? Because the trees that I show you guys, they clearly have been fighting the blight and putting up a really good fight. Yeah, we may have lost one of the bigger ones, but it still put up a fight. And I actually have plans to save that tree. And we'll talk about that in another video. But I think someone needs to bring light to this. The American Chestnut Foundation is doing it all wrong. And that's why on this channel, we're going to take my approach. We're going to take Steve Hartman's approach. We're going to take the approach that makes the most sense in trying to bring back the American chestnut tree, not back crossing. We want pure American chestnut trees, and if that means cutting the hybrid trees off my property in 10 years so they don't interfere, that's what it'll be. We're going to bring back the American chestnut tree, or at least we are going to do our very best. I'm optimistic about this whole thing. I just believe we have to do it in the right way. So no, I don't believe the American Chestnut Foundation is doing what is in the best interest of the American chestnut. It just feels to me like money gets involved and people don't want to lose the money. Now, I could see this as like, okay, if they took the approach I'm talking about, they could probably get more money. First off, get more money to look for these trees, to find these trees, and to propagate the offspring of these trees. And by propagating the offspring of these trees, they'd be getting more money. They'd be getting money so they could look for more trees, so they could still get money off it. So I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. And people will say, oh, you don't know everything. I don't know everything. Of course I don't know everything. But when I see 40 years go by and nothing significant changes, there's a problem. I've never even seen one of these trees from the American Chestnut Foundation in a picture that are like big and like growing straight like an American chestnut tree. I don't think they exist. I think it's all a load of phooey. It just is. I just don't believe them. And even in Dunstan, everyone talks about the Dunstan chestnut tree. It's like, I've never seen a Dunstan that was big. We need to just focus on bringing back the American chestnut 100% pure. That is what my goal is, and that's what I want all of you guys to want to do as well. Now, this may be controversial. I know I said in another video I would not be using the GoFundMe anymore to buy more American chestnuts. But I'm going to ask for your guys' help, because this isn't just for me. This is me trying to do my part to bring back the American chestnut tree. So what I'm asking you guys to do is I'll leave the link in this description to donate to the GoFundMe. But I'll also make a video for the GoFundMe so we can purchase more nuts this year. And try to save this tree, because I need to purchase more nuts, and the source I'm getting them from, I know that they have potential to be strong American chestnut trees, and then breeding them with the ones we have in the wild is going to make all the difference in the world. And another thing coming up, I'm going to tell you guys, I looked at under a microscope at the offspring of the mature American chestnut tree, and I'll have to tell you guys about that in another video. But yeah, the GoFundMe link will be there. You guys can donate to the GoFundMe, and we will purchase. Now it'll be $3 equals one American chestnut planted, because the price from the guy I get them from has gone up. So I guess that's about it for this video. What we need to do is change course at this time, and focus on natural resistance. Focus on natural resistance versus backbreeding. And I also talked to the governor of West Virginia at a Trump event. It doesn't matter what you think about Trump or not. I'm talking about chestnut trees right now. So don't go in and start ripping my head off over my political views, because that's not what I want to do here. I want to talk about something that should not divide us. Talk about the American chestnut tree. So yeah, I talked to the governor of West Virginia about it, and I'll talk to you guys about that in another video. I'm trying to save more video ideas. I don't want to cram it all into one video. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the American Chestnut Foundation. I just think we need to change course. They're not doing this right. And I don't care that I haven't been doing this for 40 years. And someone will say that. Someone may try to bite my head off, and I don't care. I have an opinion. I have free speech. I have the First Amendment in this country. I can say what I want. And that's what I'm going to say right now. So yeah, or that's what I did say in this video. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on this video, hit that notification bell, and subscribe for more content. And if you want to help me save the American chestnut tree, in the description below or in the pinned comment, you can donate to the GoFundMe. $3 equals one American chestnut tree planted. And I can't say it's exactly one American chestnut tree planted, because there's also shipping, which is kind of expensive on as many nuts as we'll be buying. So it is what it is. There should be a disclaimer somewhere. But yeah, guys, that is my thoughts. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, don't forget to keep it electrified. I'll see y'all later.